What's up and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Borderlands 4 news. When and where the hell is it? Well, I think it's being worked on currently in Gearbox Studios, and if you want to know why, we'll get to some tweets from Randy Pitchford here in a minute, but that's not the big news that I want to talk about here today. Because not only was Borderlands 4 confirmed in these tweets, there was an article published detailing the earnings call from Gearbox, and there's one paragraph that's actually very important and links back to Borderlands 4. I'll go ahead and read it to you now so you don't have to. Gearbox has very ambitious plans for the future. Looking into their pipeline, they are having a slate of 10 AAA titles in the pipeline currently planned for release until March of 2026. Also, they started the journey as part of the Embracer Group to use platform for expanding through M&A. So during the quarter, they announced the acquisitions of the Western operations of Perfect World Entertainment, the publisher of highly successful MMO game Star Trek Online, and the Winter Nights Online, as well as Remnant. The reason why I mention this is Gearbox has always talked about releasing a Borderlands MMO game, and they even did in China, I think it was, plenty of years ago. Apparently it was a big failure. I don't know much about that game. But first of all, I just want to say I really hope they don't do that. I don't think Borderlands needs to go the MMO route. If it becomes like a Destiny or the Division or something like that, where it's like it's always online play, people are gonna quit playing. The franchise will die. And I understand innovation is a big thing that we need in the franchise, but I don't think making the game completely online play is gonna do it. So the fact that they're now basically partnered with that company does kind of worry me, but it's going to be okay as long as the Borderlands MMO, if that ends up coming out, as long as that is a separate thing from Borderlands 4, we don't have anything to worry about. But before I can tell you when I think Borderlands 4 is going to release, let's go down the list of all the Borderlands titles when they released. All the way back in 2009, we got the first release with Borderlands 1, and still an absolute classic in my opinion, one of the best games in the franchise. It really doesn't get enough love. If you guys want to see any videos on that, let me know in the comments, or just let me know your opinions on this video itself. Hop on over to 2012, and we got Borderlands 2, my personal favorite in the franchise, the one that innovated the most on the formula. And sadly, no game has yet to get back to this magic, but hopefully with the fourth game, maybe, just maybe, we can get back to that luster that Borderlands 2 gave us. We got what I like to call a spin-off game in 2014 with Borderlands the pre-sequel, and I mean, it wasn't too bad. Skill trees are pretty good. The laser weapons were fun for a little bit. Decent bosses. They kind of failed not bringing back Pearl Essence, but you know what? It could have been a lot worse. Then we had a huge gap with Borderlands 3 coming out in 2019, and I can't even lie, it disappointed me. While the gameplay overall was pretty good, the legendaries were just too common and they were so boring most of the time. I felt like the game was handled awfully post-launch. Like at launch, the game was great, but it got boring to me quick. The maps were a little too big. It just honestly felt like more of the same, and all the innovations they did in that game just kind of felt wasted. The villains ended up kind of being a bust. The story dragged a little too long, with some story missions lasting way too damn long. Don't even get me started on the loot that they had tied to that time-specific event. Like it was like that one weekend or whatever, you could get that. No, fuck that, dude. That was awful. And then in 2022, we got Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. A full 3-year wait for another pile of shit game that honestly did more of the same. Sure, we got spells, but they're literally just glorified grenade mods. I'll give Wonderlands this. The story is great. I'll be honest, I enjoyed the first playthrough, but after my first playthrough, I felt like I had no reason to play through the game again. Endgame was boring. I hated doing those randomized dungeons. They just got so repetitive, just killing enemies. It was just endless garbage. I mean, how many mayhem levels was there? 40? They ended up adding 20 more. I think there was 40. Or maybe it was 30 and they added 10 more. I can't remember, dude. That game just gives me a headache. This isn't about those games, though. Well, let's talk about Borderlands 4. The reason I mentioned Gearbox is going to release 10 AAA games within 2023 and 2026. The reason why I mentioned that is because before Tiny Tina's Wonderlands even dropped, back in 2021, Randy Pitchford tweeted this: "We are definitely working on some amazing stuff that I hope will surprise and delight all of you." And if you didn't know, he's talking about Wonderlands there. But it's the second half of the tweet that we want to talk about. Plug. If anyone out there has skills to pay the bills and wants to get in on some Borderlands action, we're working on the big one. Smiley face. Gearboxsoftware.com/careers. Obviously in reference to Borderlands 4, the big one. The best way of putting it is Wonderlands was what the pre-sequel was for Borderlands 2, except Tiny Tina's Wonderlands was that for Borderlands 3, if that makes any sense. We got Borderlands 1, no spinoffs, but then we got Borderlands 2. We got a spinoff title 2 years later with the pre-sequel. We had a little gap there until we got Borderlands 3, and then about 3 years later we got Wonderlands. With all that being said, when it comes to mainline games, there's about a 4 to 5 year wait. Borderlands 3 being released in 2019, that leads me to assume that we can see this game at earliest in late 2024. There's definitely no way we're seeing it this year, guys. I mean, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we haven't even heard a drop from Gearbox about this game. All we know is that it's in development. And if I'm being honest, I don't even see it releasing in 2024. I could see it maybe being mentioned next year, but to be honest with you, I see this thing coming out in 2025. Wonderlands released back in Q1 of 2022. To me, it makes sense for this game to come out in Q1 of 2025. All I can hope is that they continue to implement what the community wants to see, and that the game is good, man, because I've been itching for some more Borderlands, and I don't think we're going to see any for a little while. With that, I want to ask you guys, what do you want to see in Borderlands 4? Because there's a lot that I want to talk about. And if you guys want to see more videos on me talking about Borderlands 4, let me know down in the comments below. I want to know what you guys want to see in the game, because I feel like Borderlands has just kind of been stale for a little while now. It's like we haven't really changed the formula enough to get new people to come in and enjoy these games. And I know a lot of you are going back to Borderlands 2 and Borderlands 1 because you jumped in on Borderlands 3 and Wonderlands. I understand that, and I think that's awesome. But I feel like for us who grew up with the franchise or have been playing these games for years now, we just really haven't had much change. So for the big four, I really want to see something new. Now, honestly, I want the game to stay offline play mainly with multiplayer elements involved. I think that's how Borderlands shines. You can do it solo just as well as you can do it with your friends. Some people lack good internet connection like myself, and you can't really play online games all the time. It's definitely a hard line when you have a working formula that people really love and you don't want to change it enough to alienate players and push them all away, but you also need to improvise stuff and make things different, or else all your players are just going to get bored and burnt out. Look at all the Borderlands fans who are still going back to the first and second game just because they love those titles. Borderlands 2 still has one of the most active speedrunning scenes from any of the games released in 2012. Probably the most. We just really need a new title, man. And honestly, like I said, 2025 is looking like our best bet. But yeah, that's really all I've got for you guys today. I really hope y'all did enjoy today's video. If you did, make sure to smash a like on it. Subscribe if you guys are new. As I said earlier, please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all like your family. Stay tuned for Monday because I'm planning on dropping a new series idea. I hope you guys enjoy that as well. And with that, I will see you all in the next one.